this is a review for your Chapter 6 test. We're not going to do it this time on Think Central. We will be taking our test on paper. So make sure that you write clearly and that I can see every step that you're doing so that I can give you credit. I'm going to go ahead and start a problem. I'll show you one problem, A, and then you will practice with B. When I finish A, I will tell you, pause your video. When I say pause your video, you're going to pause it and then you're going to try B. Once you're ready to keep going, you will do the next one. If you have a substitute teacher here, you can check your answer with them. If we don't have a sub, then you would just have to complete it, and we won't be able to check your answers, unfortunately. All right, first one. So I separated my review into 6 numbers. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that means that there are 6 different components or things that you need to know how to do. Okay, and I'm just focusing on that because these are very, very important things that you need to know. So the first one is estimate the sum or difference. Remember that when you see estimate, it means that you're giving an educated guess. And it's this kind of problem where you have a benchmark of 0, half, or 1. Okay? What that means is that you want to round, you're rounding each of your fractions to either 0, half, or 1. So you need to ask yourself, okay, is my fraction closer to 0, or is it closer to 1/2, or is it closer to 1? Okay, so let's go ahead and start by looking at the first fraction, 11 over 12. When you are looking at it, you want to compare your numerator, which is the top number, to your denominator. If your numerator is very close to your denominator, then that means that it's close to 1. So you want to round it out to 1. In this case, 11 is pretty close to 12. So it's 1. Why is it not a half? Well, think about it. What is half of 12? 6, right? Is 11 closer to 6 or closer to 12? Well, it's closer to 12. That means that I'm closer to 1. So if my number was closer to 6, because 6 is half of 12, then I would use the half benchmark. Or if it was closer to 0, like if it was 1 over 12, then I would use 0. In this case, I'm closer to 1, so I'm going to use 1. Minus, and then we have 6 over 10. So, to know if I'm going 0, half, or 1, I say, okay, what is half of 10? 5, right? Half of 10 is 5. So that means that I am closer to half. Because if it was 1, then that means that my numerator will be closer to 10. But I see that 6 is closer to 5, which is a half. So I will write a half here. So now this is easier to do. 1 minus a half equals a half. All right? So at this point, pause your video, pause, stop. Even if you're looking at this video, that doesn't mean that you don't follow my directions. You do. Pause your video and do B. Okay, so if there's a sub, you should check your answer with the sub. If there isn't, just keep going. So now, section number 2 is factors. So for factors, you're going to write the number as a product of its prime factors. So when we see the word prime factors, what is a prime factor? Remember, I gave you a list, which now I don't have one near me at this moment, but I gave you a list that had all the prime numbers underlined. A prime number is a number that only has one multiple to get to that number. So it's a product of only 2 numbers, which would be 1 and itself. For example, 1 times 2 equals 2. There are no other 2 numbers that will equal 2, so 2 is a prime number. 4 is not a prime number because you can make 4 by multiplying 2 times 2, and also 1 and 2. So 4 is not a prime number. All right, so let's work the first problem, number 2A. That's 42. So one of the things that I've been telling you guys, and I'm going to say it again, is that if you have 42, if you have a number that is even, an even number, meaning it ends with an even number, then you can divide, or you can factor it out. You can divide this number unless it's, all right, so 42, we can do 2 and, so you think, okay, half of 42 is 21, right? 21 times 2 equals 42. Make sure that these two numbers, you're not trying to make them add up to 42. Instead, you're supposed to be able to multiply both and get this result. 2 times 21 equals 42. Is 2 a prime number? Yes. So that's a number we're going to use when we write out our factors. And I'm circling so I don't forget. Is 21 a prime number? So can you multiply two numbers other than 1 and 21 and get 21? Yes, you do, right? If you multiply 3 times 7 equals 21. Is 3 a prime number? Yes, because you can only multiply 3 and 1. So I'm going to circle it because it's a prime number. Is 7 a prime number? Yes, it's a prime number because you can only get 7 by multiplying 1 and 7. So when I'm ready to write my answer, I'm not going to leave it like this. Okay? You need to write the number as a product. That means that you're going to write it by putting 2 times 3 times 7. If you want to check your answer, you can do it by, first you say, okay, is 2 and 3 and 7 a prime number? Check that it is. And you can always check your chart right now that you're reviewing, though in the test you won't be able to. And then you can also see that if you multiply 2 times 3, that's 6. And 6 times 7, it's 42. So if you were to multiply all the numbers, you should be able to get the answer to be 42. Okay, now I want you to pause your video and you need to try B on your own. All right, next section. Number 3, find the common denominator and the equivalent fractions. So now this problem is only asking me to find the common denominator so that I can write it in fractions. Step number 1 to solve this problem is find the common multiple of the denominator. So in this case, I'm going to write the multiples of 6 and 21. So we go count by 6. 6, 12, 18, 18 plus 6, 24, 30, 36, add 6. So I'm going to do this one so that I know where I need to stop, right? 21. The next one will be, so you want to add 21 and 21 to get the next one. So that's 42. And I'm going to stop and see if I can have that same multiple. So 36, add 6, 42. So there it is. Our common multiple is 42. Okay. Now, I use that common multiple to find the equivalent fraction. You want to write this in a vertical form. So 1/6 is equal to, and 4 over 21 is equal to, and then you'll find your equivalent fraction by writing in your denominator, which is 42, on both. Okay? When we're finding equivalent fractions, these two numbers need to be the same. All right, so now you think, 6 times what number will give me 42? So 6 times 7, right, will give me 42. So if I do that to the denominator, I need to multiply it also to the numerator. And 1 times 7 equals 7. Then 21 times what number will give me 42? Oh, 21 times 2, right? So if I do that to the denominator, I need to do that to the numerator. So 4 times 2 equals 8. So the question is find the common denominator. The common denominator is 42. And the equivalent fractions are 7 over 42 and 8 over 42. All right, so now you need to do the same for B. Pause the video and do B. All right, our next example is number 4 is to add or subtract fractions. So now we're taking the common denominator exercises and finding equivalent fractions to the next level. So every time you want to add or subtract, you need to make sure that your denominator is the same. They have to be the same. If they're not, then you have to first find the common multiple in order to have a common denominator, and then you find the equivalent fractions before you can add or subtract.